This lesson is on brushes in Photoshop. So brushes can be used for masking and for painting. They can also be used for stamping. So there's all kinds of great uses for brushes. So I'm going to explore some of that for you today. So the first step, I have just created a blank document and I am going to start using different brushes. So I want to add a blank layer. So I'm going to just add a blank layer. Now, as a default brush, what I have up top here is just a regular round brush. It's got a pretty hard edge, so I can always make a softer edge. Let's just make the brush bigger by using my right bracket key. And if I want to make a softer edge, I can hold down Shift and left bracket. And notice up top, I now have a much softer brush. So it would look like that, as opposed to the hard edge. Shift and right bracket looks like this. Undo those real quick. And now let's actually fully add our new layer. So that's just the basics with brushes, but we can do several other things with brushes. So let's start off looking at some of the other brushes that come within Photoshop. So first off, your brushes palette traditionally starts very small, or your panel. So just by grabbing the right-hand corner, bottom right-hand corner, you can drag it and make it much larger. Another thing that's very helpful when it comes to brushes is to see the brush tip. In order to see the brush tip, you need to actually go to the, let's pull this back open again. There we go. You need to go to the gear option right here. And under the gear, turn on brush tip. So this is what it looks like without it. That's traditional default for Photoshop. And then here it is with the brush tip. It just makes things more visible, especially as you start getting into more specialized brushes. So as I scroll down, I can see several different brushes that have been installed on this computer. Many of them come with Photoshop, but others are added on later. So I have this cool chunky charcoal brush. And if you look at the brush top right-hand corner, it will also identify what tool it corresponds with. So this particular brush works with the eraser tool, whereas all these others work with a brush tool. So I'm going to come over here to my regular screen and make this chunky charcoal a little bit bigger, and I get this fun look here. I'm going to add a new blank layer just so I keep everything isolated. I can pick and choose what I want to show up. So I'm going to go ahead and grab a different color, pick a red, and now I'm going to change the brush again. So drop down, look at my brush options, and here's some fun splattery type brushes. And so that one works a lot better just by single clicking. So if I don't like how that layer looks, I can just turn it off, start over again, and now I can make the brush really big and do a single click to get some paint splatters there. If I want the brush to modify in how it, right now, every time I paint with it or stamp with it, it's identical. I do have many brush presets and brush options that I can look at. So if I drop down from my window and choose brushes, I get both the brushes and the brush settings. If I toggle over to brush settings, it gives me several more examples and options right here. So I can flip the brush every time I click. So I can flip it on the X and flip it on the Y. I can also change the shape. I can jitter it, I can move it around, I could scatter it, I could do all kinds of different things. And so it takes a little time to get used to all of these different options. So when you have a chance, I recommend just playing with it. So let me go ahead and show you a little bit of what at least the flipping on the X and the Y will do. I'm gonna condense my brush, and here's one click. So right now they're identical. Let's go back to the brush settings. So the brush tip shape, I did say to flip, but I did not have it scatter or, yeah, just basically, oh wait, I'm sorry. So I can also flip it on the X and Y to jitter. And then in scattering, I'm going to scatter it once. I'm going to scatter on both axes. And let's see what happens here. So again, collapse my brush menu. So there's one click and it's still doing the same. Nope, it's flipping around. So it keeps rotating back and forth. If I really wanted to have full rotational options, what I could do, so I've created a brand new layer, I select it, and now I can actually hit my transform tool for this layer, and then I could rotate as much as I wanted as well. So there's all kinds of different ways to modify using the brush tool if you keep things isolated onto separate layers especially. Okay, now one other thing, by keeping these on separate layers, you have the option to change the opacity of the layer. So if you want part of the stamps to be less noticeable, you can just change that opacity. So all kinds of great options when it comes to brushes. Now let's take a look at installing a brush. Many brushes can be found free through online searches, as well as there are many professional photographers and designers that design different brush tips, and you can purchase those at a really nominal price. So back with my brush tool, I'm going to come back up here, and where I normally go into my brush, I'm going to go into the gear icon. Under the gear, I see the option import brushes. So once you have downloaded a brush from the internet or from another person that you purchased, whatever it is, it's going to end with an extension of .abr. So I can see that's where the file type is, ABR. These are ones that I have downloaded in the past. I'm going to go ahead and grab the insect ones and just choose load. Once those are loaded, you don't see much right away. When you first look at your screen, you have to scroll to the bottom of your brushes. And here I see now my new insect brushes have been installed. They will stay on your computer for as long as you keep them there. And if you change computers, obviously you have to move the brushes over as well or reload them. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and grab this particular bug. And I'm going to change the color, maybe to a blue. Make this guy a bit bigger. And there we go. I have a cool insect. And I can make multiple copies. I can also change the opacity of what I'm brushing on, how I'm stamping it, if I want a lesser opacity at that point. The opacity changes on the layer actually give you a little more versatility, because notice the image on the left is full opacity. Now I can just change the layer to lesser opacity. So you can look at both options depending on what your effect is and give it a try that way. And so I'll just review one more time how to load brushes. So I just made a new blank layer. I'm going to go back up to my layers, my brush drop down, choose the gear, and select import brushes. From this point, now I can pick another brush. Let's see, there's smoke. Let's go ahead and try bird brushes. And to see them, remember I have to scroll down to the bottom, and here's the new folder of the bird brushes. Birds in flight. Let's change my color again. Let's go to a little bit more of a black. And now I have several birds flying across my screen. Because I put them all on their own separate layers, I can pick and choose what I want to keep, what I want to blend, and how I want the overall look and feel to be. Of course, I can always change the order of layers too, to really get a different impact as well. So that's it when it comes to brushes. Our next lesson, I will talk about how to create your own brush, but we'll save that for another lesson.